Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel name Anita K. It is Thursday, September 4th. I hope you had a great long weekend. I had a good long weekend. I got to see Jimmy Dore, of course, and I could totally fangirled all over him. I don't know what it is. Like, I think that I really enjoy his show. Of course, I was absolutely thrilled because he was one big American podcaster that put me on his channel after I got fired from Global News. And I just have mad respect for him for that. The whole his wife, and which is also his producer, and other producers there, they're so nice. Like, they're just so nice to me and such good people, and they haven't been tainted by scandal yet. And so when I see him, I'm like, he's so cuddly, and then it's a big cuddle thing, and then it's so embarrassing, and then oh my god, I didn't even know whether to post that because I was a little bit tipsy, as you could tell. And then the wife walked in, and it was like, oh my god, what's happening? But I had tons of fun. I don't care, so I share, right? I share it. Okay, so what's going on in Canada? Again, I just was looking at this my news feed here, and I'm going to talk about Singh Hortons. I'm going to talk about, castle law a little bit, like how I talked about in one of my previous videos. But I just want to quickly mention Kian Bexty. The Carney government is going after him with possibly prison time and a $50,000 fine because of some of the reporting that he's done about this Liberal candidate who's now been fired. His name is Thomas Keeper with the Calgary Confederation Party. I think that's what it's called. The something. Anyway, Thomas Keeper. Listen, we wouldn't even have known who you were had you not created a big stink, or somebody didn't create a big stink about it. The story would have just been pretty low key. But now we kind of know this guy's name. And that just shows you, if you try to pursue the truth in journalism, if you try to pursue the truth in anything, like Frances Widdowson tries, and she got fired from her position at university. I got fired for trying to warn people, don't be a schmuck and then roll your sleeve up. Okay, it's not going to end well. Don't do it. And for that, I got fired. Yeah, you pursue the truth in Canada, and you're shamed, and you're doxxed, and you're fired. And I don't really care anymore, because I think now we can see like who the real sort of ride or die people are, and who the keep your mouth shut and go along with the status quo people are. And I'm getting pretty tired of the people that keep their mouth shut and go along with the status quo. I have very little respect. I have respect for all freedom fighters in any situation. You gain my respect. The other people, I'm not so fond. Not so fond. So that's what's going on with Kian. The ostrich farmers, that's really the ostrich bird farm up in where is it? Edgewood or Edgemont, BC, or wherever it is. It's like they still keep coming down on them. And I think it got pretty, I haven't quite kept up with it, but I hear that the farmers are not allowed to test their birds to prove that they are healthy. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency is really going after them. Well, for what now? These healthy birds that have been healthy for months, are you really that threatened? Are they really that threatening to the pharmaceutical industry that you got to do this? You got to kill these birds that were imported from Africa. They're about 400 pounds each. There's like 200 birds up there. You really want to shoot all these birds? That's really what you want to do? You really can't let these birds live in Canada. This is how stupid you are. And they're not even food. And the CFIA has to get all wrapped up in this. So I don't know the latest on that, but I'm not impressed with that. Okay, and then the last video, castle law. Remember a guy broke into his apartment, but with a crossbow. I'm hearing now that it was a smaller crossbow. What the hell? I don't care. It was a crossbow. Guy grabbed a kitchen knife, defended himself, and now he's got charges. This is probably one of the, in a long line of many stupid things going on in this country. This is also very stupid. So you don't know what to do. You don't know how to defend yourself. And police are calling for this. They're telling us that this is what they want to do. Here, have a look at this clip here.
Not to take matters into their own hands. While we don't want
Let me re-cue it and make it big. Make it big, and boom.
In the unlikely event that you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. While we don't want homeowners to feel powerless, we urge you to call 911 and do everything you can to keep yourself and loved ones safe until police arrive, and be the best witness possible. This could mean locking yourself in a room away from the perpetrators, hiding, fleeing the home, but don't engage unless absolutely necessary. But as it stands, we know the best defense for
is no defense.
People is to comply, as you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations.
So this is what we're doing. This was the hold on a minute. Yeah, lost my place there for a second. But that is the Canadian police chief after a man was murdered during a home invasion. So if you ever find yourself the victim of a home invasion, we are urging citizens not to take matters into their own hands. Don't engage. The best defense is to comply. What is this? What is this? I mean, you know, like I think if a gang of sort of terrorists came to my house, and I'd be pretty scared. Well, I'd be scared if anybody came, but your natural instinct is to sort of defend yourself. I kind of know what he's saying in that don't think you're a tough guy. Because this might not end well for you. So if I had a panic room, people don't have that. What are you going to do? Lock yourself in a bedroom? Most people don't have like bolts on their bedrooms. Like the burglar is going to get in. You kind of have to spring into action and follow your instincts and do whatever you have to do. For the police to be telling us, don't comply, the best defense is to comply. I mean, in a way, the best defense is maybe to play it smart, because if you don't have a battle of strength, maybe you could outwit, outplay, outlast. I don't know. But I kind of get what he's saying. But, this is like, you keep doing the catch and release. You keep having violent people out on the streets. You are telling us to put our keys outside the door. You are telling us all some kind of bullshit, and we just can't get down with it. You want us to just be nothing. You want us to be a complete cuck or something. You want us to just have no balls, no means to protect ourselves. What's going to happen anyway if we get burglarized? Do you think the police are going to help us get our stuff back? Do you think we're going to get any justice? Do you think our valuables are going to be retrieved? Do you think that they might not hurt us? They might hurt us. Sometimes women can be very smart in a situation. You can outsmart somebody and you can defend yourself. Let us, give us more, give us like something. Give us something more than don't do anything. Give us some words of encouragement. Tell us that you're going to get these people off the street. Don't tell us you can put the keys outside. You put the keys outside. And that's what brings me to this story. This story actually freaked me out because this has nothing to do with a home invasion or anything like that. This is just random, psychotic, terrifying behavior. It kind of takes a lot to scare me. Well, not that much, but this story actually, it scared me. Okay, now the content of this story is disturbing. It is, so I'm warning you, it's disturbing, it's upsetting.
Abdul Aziz Kawam boards a bus in Surrey on April 1st, 2023, followed a few seconds later by his victim, whose identity is protected by a publication ban. Security video captures both men standing near the rear exit doors and riding together in silence for about 3 minutes, before Kawam pulls out a large knife and attacks, slashing at the victim's neck 3 times and intending to kill him, according to the admissions at trial. As bus passengers scream, the victim uses his body to push Kawam out of the bus.
He was bleeding out of his neck and he still managed to throw his attacker off the bus.
The knife nicked the victim's vocal cords and missed his main artery by 1 millimeter, his brother-in-law told Global News days later.
It scared him to his core. He thought he was going to die.
15 minutes earlier, Kawam had used the same knife to attack another man at a bus stop across the street.
Okay, this guy is a psychopath, and that is and he called 911 himself and said that, your society is at risk if you don't praise something, Islam or something. He did this on behalf of the Islamic State. He is in custody. They did decide to charge him. Thank God. Can you imagine if this psychopath was out on the street? Can you imagine if they did a catch and release on a guy like that? They actually have the wherewithal to he is in custody and he's awaiting trial or whatever he's waiting. That's going to happen in December. But, I'm sure he's had trouble with the law before. I mean, I don't know, but like, this is terrifying. It's terrifying because this guy will just randomly just do this to someone on the bus. And we've all been on the bus. This is a situation our children are going to be in. My kids take the bus, or one of them does sometimes, and you got to worry about an absolute psychopath like this coming down. Why are you in this country? Get out of this country. Why are you in Canada killing Canadians? If you love Islam so much or whatever you're doing, and I like Islamic people, go back to whatever country you came from. Get out of here. If you are Islam first, go home. Now, this incident happened in 2023. I've just never seen this before. So the guy, the justice, Miriam Gropper, was tasked with determining whether the facts amounted to a terrorist purpose. The BC Supreme Court justice found the Crown proved its case on all three routes. So on June 30th, Kawan, the stabber, was convicted of attempted murder and assault with a weapon for the benefit of, at the direction of, and in association with a terrorist group, the Islamic State. Well, I don't know if the whole state is a terrorist group, but he's said, he called 911, the stabber, and says, I pled my allegiance to Abu al-Hussein al-Husani al-Qurashi Hafizullah. He told the 911 operator, whatever. He get out of here. That's basically, go home. We don't want this. We just don't want this. And so, it is freaky. We're also not given much means to protect ourselves. Again, like, what would any of us do in this type of situation? Someone breaks into our house, we're vulnerable. Somebody randomly, psychopathically stabs us randomly. I mean, you can't account for any of these things, but we certainly, it puts you a bit on tenterhooks, right? You don't feel as safe and you don't feel as nervous because you see the streets are getting rougher and rougher as the days go on, right? So anyway, that's my little take on that. I'm going to switch topics a little bit and talk about something that's also to do with probably immigration, but not, not violence or anything like that. I just want to say that, like, as an Indian person, there sure are a lot of Indian people around. I mean, we have let in, I think we've let in 1 million people over the last, the last couple of years or whatever. The immigration has gone off the chain, and I'm trying to have a reasonable approach to it. So I talked to a friend of mine who's a liberal, works for the government, loves vaccines. So we had a conversation today about immigration because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Like, why are there so many Indian people working at the Tim Hortons? But it's not just the Tim Hortons. It's the Walmart. It's Wendy's. It's Canadian Tire, not so much, but a lot more even at IKEA. It's, you're seeing it more and more. And everywhere I go, I hear regular people. Well, this has happened to my sons also. Couldn't find a job. And then we hear these things of kickbacks and subsidies and wage subsidies, and they're hiring temporary foreign workers. And well, they'd have to be hiring them for the same wage because the government has to pay you the same wage. And I think a lot of times we think that the foreign workers are getting a kickback. Now, if you happen to know, or you have a legitimate source for me to interview, I would like, hit me up in the comments and let me know. From what I can see in BC, I looked up something like the BC wage subsidy, and the government was paying employers to hire workers, but they were permanent residents or they were citizens. So that was a program for citizens. It wasn't for temporary foreign workers. So again, like, I don't see evidence that there's kickbacks and subsidies. People might be paying people under the table. People might be bribing certain employers with some money. That might be going on. But I can't explain like why there's so many. And so when I was talking to my friend, well, he was saying, remember when the pandemic, and then right after the CERB, people couldn't find people to work. So you couldn't find people who wanted to work, and maybe people did get a little bit spoiled having the money thrown at them and they forgot what work actually was. Work is actually working, getting up, getting out of bed, having a shower, brushing your teeth, and going and doing an honest day's work somewhere, commuting, packing your lunch. That's why they call it work. And a lot of spoiled brats maybe don't want to do that. But now I don't think it's like that. I think a lot of young people want to work hard. They want a paycheck. They want to earn money, and they can't find any jobs. And because we let so many people in and all the immigration rules were relaxed. I mean, he works in immigration, and he said that it went up to like, he was saying like in the Harper Times, believe it or not, with work, people on work permits, labor market impact assessment, LMIA, visas and PRs, and just general immigration, people, they were letting about 200,000 to 250,000 people into the country, which that seems like a lot per year. That actually seems like a lot. This is just off the top of my friend's head. Then he said that expand in the last couple of years to over 450,000. So yeah, and also he works for the provincial nominee program. So they give visas to people who are like in the medical profession, who are professionals, who are entrepreneurs, who want to come here and start a business, like sort of people that you want to emigrate here to cultivate business and to work in medicine or to work in universities. Like he was a part of, still works for a program, and they would let up to 8,000 people in a year, which was fine, which seems low, which seems just absolutely fine. And then he told me that in 2024, they cut that number down to 4,000. So they're only letting 4,000 of these kind of people that you want. Like we got a guy knifing people on buses, some sort of lunatic like that. He's in this country, but if there's an actual doctor or something that wants to work here, they got to go through this nominee program or go through whatever hoops to jump through to get here. And they've even cut this government program from 8,000 to 4,000. Excuse me, these are the people we want to come here. But anyway, this is some of, anyway, so there was that time where we let a lot of people in, and now the floodgates open too much, and now it's just too much. But how do you rein that in? How do you backtrack that? I mean, you have to cap it. You have to cap it somehow. Let's have a look at what Pierre Poilievre had to say and Carney. Let's have a look at what they had to say about this. Carney.
Mr. Poilievre called this morning on the government to scrap the temporary foreign worker program. Is it time to shut the program down?
His face is like, oh, please. Oh, that's a bad idea. Are you kidding me? That's what his face says.
Well, I would say the following, which is that that program has a role. It has to be focused in terms of its role. And it's part of what we're reviewing. It's part of what we will be discussing, how well the temporary foreign worker program is working and how our overall immigration system is working. We've been absolutely clear as a government that we want, and we're putting in place policies so that the overall level of immigration as a proportion of the population will decline from around 7% today to around 5% several years from now. Now, the biggest contributor to immigration is not temporary foreign workers.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, he's just so boring that it's very difficult to listen to. So let's go up to Pierre. Let's see what he had to say. Let me just see if I can find. Okay, let's let her rip.
People today form what I call generation screwed. Let's look at the situation for this generation. It is the first generation that cannot afford a home in Canadian history. And now the double gut punch. They have the highest or the worst employment numbers of any group of young people since the late 1990s. So you can't get a job. And even if you did have a job, you can never buy a home after 10 years of Liberal government. Tim Hortons has hired an unimaginable 1,131% more temporary foreign workers in the last 4 years. In the first half of this year alone, the TFW program has imported 74% more low-skilled labor than in all of 2015. TFWs, the number of temporary foreign workers, is now 2% of our overall workforce, and a staggering number, an unprecedented number.
There's no downside to these companies hiring foreign workers. But if there was a PR downside, if patriotic Canadians said, this is enough. I notice in the UK, there's a lot of people waving British and English flags. It's their response to immigration crises. Would you consider naming and shaming in the public domain abusers of the TFW program?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty direct. I love a direct answer. We sure do like that. I mean, Tim Hortons, my God, it's a license to print money. I mean, they're like, do they not have enough money? And I mean, they profess to be this Canadian company. We certainly, I mean, it's like an iconic thing, a double and all the food that they have there. It's like such a piece of Canadiana. But when you walk in there now, you're like, oh my God, like I can't find a Caucasian person here. And it's, like, I don't know what the problem is. I'm not trying to scream that something untoward is happening. I think because I talked to my liberal friend today, I'm just like, my eyes tell me what my eyes tell me. Something is out of balance. Something is out of whack. And my friends and my peer group, and when I go to events and people talk to me, they tell me the same thing, that their 19-year-old daughter can't find a job. My son could not find a job for the life of him, and neither could his friends. He found a job through me, and I worked for a company, or worked for them. I don't work there right now, that hired him. And they hire a lot of Canadians, regular Canadians. And my son and I were like, oh my God, there's regular Canadians working here. And we're like, yeah. And it's weird. And we say that it's weird because we feel like foreigners in our own country. And I know this sounds funny coming from me because I'm a visible minority, but I was born here. And this is not how we emigrated here. This is not how immigration was for my dad, for my uncles. For we came the hard way, and we embraced Canadiana and Canadian life. That's what makes sort of the spice of life beautiful. What makes you resentful and what breeds resentment is having too much of something and not being able to say it because you're going to sound like a racist. You're going to be accused of sounding like a racist. When all the Asian money came here and outbid us for houses, and regular Canadian families could not buy a house, and God forbid you said anything about it because that sounded racist. Meanwhile, our government, our BC government in particular, still continues to bend right over. David Eby loves to bend right over for the Asian influence, Chinese money, the Chinese. That's who he kowtows to. That's who he serves. He doesn't serve regular Canadian people. And God forbid you say something about that, you'll sound like a racist. God forbid you say, hey, you guys got $12 million, in fact, $24 million to do a little bit of excavating behind the Kamloops residential school to see if there are any unmarked graves or remains. And you have not done that. So where are the remains? And God forbid you say something about it, then you're a racist. God forbid you don't wear an Aboriginal or an orange shirt because people are going to think you don't like Aboriginals. That's not true. That is not true. I want them to be successful and part of society and have a wonderful life, just like I wish that for any human being. I don't want to be lied to and then called a racist. I don't want to have a certain opinion about something in the Middle East and then be called this anti-Semite. I don't want to sit there and say there's too many Indian peoples in the Walmart and in Tim Hortons and walking all over the street, and they're everywhere now. And it's like, not that I can be racist towards my own culture, but it's too much. And when it's too much, it tips the bucket over to where you don't have your own country anymore. And I think that I think it's perfectly fine to say that. My advice in this video is say the quiet part out loud. Just say it. You got nothing to lose. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for spending some time with me on this Thursday night. We'll catch you in the next video.